pedal show. That pedal show. That pedal show. That pedal show.
This is a bit like an audience with Adele, just with less famous people.
Less talented people.
Did you watch that? Did you watch an audience with Adele?
I did.
You didn't watch it?
No, I've been busy watching the Beatles.
Oh, that's true. It's very good.
Hello.
Hey everyone.
Just give us a minute to get used to the audio because it's going to be really quiet. I can already see that it's really quiet.
Well,
Well,
Introduce us, Dan.
Yes. Welcome to VCQ Live, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We have come down today to Andertons to hook up with our dear friends Lee and Pete. Yay!
Can you say hook up on live TV?
absolutely.
Oh,
we use
Mr.
an
Bond,
app.
how's
we,
the
we use,
strings
we
Pinocchio?
use the swipe left app and everything to hook this up, didn't we? Do you swipe left or swipe right, Dan? I'm not sure.
I'm
it
straight
depends
down
on
the
who it is
middle.
of you.
Okay.
I think.
You're swiping up.
Have you got a clon? Left.
Yeah.
Have you got a KCR? Maybe.
Imagine that. Imagine that. That's what we need.
A pedal. A pedal
version
app
of
of. Do you like the
Tinder.
pedals or not?
We're going
Pedal.
so far out of our comfort zone already.
Yeah, you are. You're gonna regret this.
So we've already had an eventful day because Mick. Have you got it here with you, Mick?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Sorry, I've got a real problem with voices. I just can't get any volume on them.
Oh no!
Oh.
Should we just shout loudly?
Keep going.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear us out there in YouTube land?
How would you know
Yes.
if they could?
I don't know. I'm just.
BV's just come back to say it's okay if you all shout.
Okay.
All right.
But,
Well, we
yeah,
can
we're quiet.
talk loudly. Mick is trying to gain it up here.
Yeah, gain it up, Mick. Gain it up.
Yeah.
Give us some more gain. Give us some more gain. You know, like.
There's
Front
plenty,
end.
there's plenty of gain coming
Oh,
in.
yeah.
Just not much going out.
Ah.
Well,
Is that going through the black magic thing? Is there not just a
Yeah.
volume control
Try
on
that.
it to sort
There
of?
we go.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Whoa,
Oh, there you go.
whoa, there it
you go, yeah,
is.
see, I told. Just turn
And
it up.
on the fourth day,
Yeah.
God invented the gain control. You have to know what meters to look at, you see, and
Oh, we can't see the screen. We can't see if people are.
I'm all
Mick's going to tell us the
all
questions.
out of my comfort zone.
Goodness me, you get lots of viewers, don't you? How many people are what? Wow!
How many people? 40?
Hundreds.
45?
Someone said I'll give you 25 quid if Pete takes his top off.
that was me.
Yeah.
Oh, was that you? Actually, I might do now.
Yeah. Someone says I'll give you 25 quid if Lee keeps his on. Oh, damn it.
It's all happening. It's all happening. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so already been an eventful day.
Yeah, if you need to turn your machine up wherever you're listening, please do. We're doing our best.
They're always doing our best. It's all we can do, isn't it?
Just never good enough.
BV's come back to say it sounds okay now. Thank you,
Yeah.
buddy.
Good.
We'll take
Thank you.
okay.
Good.
Yeah. Massive thank you to BV for moderating. As always, legend, superstar. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, thanks,
so much.
BB. Good. All right. Hello, Captain and Co. This is a new ship, says Major Dirt.
Heading for an iceberg. Just about 20 minutes and that
Yeah,
direction.
exactly, yeah.
I know a shortcut. It's icy, but it's quick.
Okay, so hello from Boston, says S. Crawford Music. Greetings from sunny South Florida, says Dad Life on the Rocks.
Michael McFall, hello from Connecticut. And Brian Stewart, greetings from LA.
Nice. Selma
Brian.
Van Alton says oldest boy band ever.
We were just saying that. It's a shit version of,
Absolutely.
of Westlife.
And Jorge Latorre from Valencia in Spain. We got William Turner on from Sweden.
Simon Whitehurst, hello from Germany. And KJ Photo, cheers from the Big
Yeah.
Apple.
Hello, you bunch of legends, says Mark Pritchard.
If we were to take that tribute band, who would be who out of the
Maybe
four of us?
Westlife with Wests instead
I know
of...
weren't there 5 people in Take That originally?
Yeah.
Yes. So obviously we're talking post Robbie Williams era. Who would be who?
So, what? Chappers is obviously Robbie Williams.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
gone off to do his thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Did one of them play guitar?
Whatever I said.
Oh, you're into it.
Who lets Pete's son in?
I said that to Pete. I think he's looking very, very svelte and healthy.
I know.
He is, he's looking great.
He's lost some weight. I'm
Yeah,
a
about
bit
2 stone, I think.
Holy
Really?
moly.
I think so.
Wow.
Gastric band.
Yeah.
You went for it
Absolutely.
full.
I just went for it.
I liked him before they were famous.
Oh yeah, so I'm Gary then.
Right.
Right, so Mix, are you getting your... See, what's happened today is we've come down to Andertons because anyone that's watched the show last week will have known that Mick saw a Strat on the Andertons site. Nick got very excited, so we met down here today, and as if by magic...
Does sound good.
It's really, really good.
You're going to get a copyright strike for that.
Oh, look.
Yeah, looks good. in the
You
light,
are right. That is a problem colour for YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just looks better in the flesh.
It's feces brown. It's the actual.
But it's spelled PH, isn't it?
Yeah, it was introduced in 1977, which was the worst.
By
year,
accident,
worst year of
after
all
a
time.
Fender night out to the
Yeah.
local Indian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Leo had been for a ruby and decided this would inspire his next guitar choice. Fire Miss Gold,
I like
62 spec roughly, nice chunky neck on it. Lots of other cool stuff that you'll see on
On
the
an
pedal
ash
show
body?
soon.
I think it's an
older.
ash body. Do you?
Well, it says older in the spec.
it. Yeah, it's older body.
Please don't tell me it's ash now.
No,
I just wonder on the sometimes when you see where the paint sinks into the, you see these kind of bits of the wood grain and it looks maybe I don't know.
Somebody says
And,
they nearly bought that. Look.
You can see the care they take of these guitars at this place. It's scratched and dinged to hell. I mean, what do you expect from a
Why
modern
are you paying
guitar
money
shop?
for that?
That's been hanging up since about 1973. We've been waiting for some
understand?
mug to.
Anyway, so that's that.
You want it?
Is that,
Happy days.
have you been to
Engine-
the Andertons custom guitar place before?
I have, yeah.
Right, so it's my first time in there today. What do you call it?
Guitar
The gallery,
The
the guitar
gallery.
gallery. Yes.
Oh yes, like a ship.
Man alive. That's
Yes.
a very special place.
That was during COVID,
Right.
the first lockdown. We thought, well, we're going to have the store empty for 3 months here. No, can't have any customers in here. What it's like the once in a lifetime chance. If we really want to change things around, what should we do? So basically, our drum department was like, bye. We had a big drum department,
Right.
and you know. I think drum sales have been tough for the last 10 years or so. So we shrunk our drum department down and then did go, what sort of guitar paradise could we make? So the general consensus is everything hanging up in there is, you know, upwards of probably 2,500 quid, something like that. And we just went mad and made it all beautiful and everything, and
It's
sofas
stunning.
and
It's
sofas.
pretty special.
really,
It's
really
pretty
Yes.
special.
It's a day out.
Shout out to the two Pauls who
man.
who kind of run it, and both splendid humans, both of them. Sorry, we've got millions of screens on. We should look at the lens, really, chaps.
Oh, look at the lens.
I tried to get a Les to work there as well, but so
Oh,
far
Les and Paul,
we've only
very
got
good.
Pauls.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been epic.
I know, that's if your
And
name
then
is Les
Leo,
and you want
can
to
you-
work in guitar
Yeah.
sales.
And Leo, Les and Paul.
Who would you like to speak to, Les or Paul? Wouldn't that be brilliant? That's what we need.
Magic Man says, this is epic. Does taking the trem cover off of a Strat change the tone?
Oh, interesting.
Trem cover.
Yeah, off the back.
No, which one's he talking about? You're talking about you're
cover
talking
for
about the cover that goes over.
The cavity cover, I think he's talking
Right.
about.
Well, you
there's
hear
the-
more
because
ringing
they-
of the.
I mean, the
surely
answer
of
is
the
yes,
springs.
if you mean the cavity cover. And the top cover,
Cavity cover.
for that, yes, because you can't damp the strings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They do look cool, though.
Why? Yeah,
See an Strap with the original cover on the bridge.
It's funny you say that. So I've got this. I was lucky enough to be part of a consortium that bought an old guitar brand last year called Burns Guitars.
Oh, nice.
And we've spent the last year sort of, you know, trying to get under the hood of it and looking at, you know, reverse engineering some of the hardware. And anyway, a lot of them have the covers on them and they're visually so beautiful. But as you rightly say, you can't play the guitar
Yeah, totally.
with the cover on it.
In your exquisite guitar emporium, you've got a couple of original old Gretschers and Duojets that have the original Burns vibrato system on them.
And I did not know. Yeah, we got a
Amazing.
couple of 60s Duojets with original fitted Burns tremolo systems on them.
So
That's
cool.
the funny. I mean, again, we digress, but that has been a real labour of love, trying to design a trem system that looks and sounds like a Jim Burns trem system, but actually works as a trem system.
Well, so think of what Duesenberg did with the Bigsby,
Mm.
and how you look at them, you think they're the same, but yet when you play them,
Not the same.
not the same. You know,
I think on isn't the Duesenberg one, it's all to do with the tension of the spring, isn't it?
the spring is it's
The whole thing,
But that-
isn't it? It's the whole thing, the rolling bars and this whole thing.
everything. It's just been engineered
Very
beautifully.
clever.
It's so good.
What's your favourite trem system of all time, Dan?
This one.
Boy,
Do you go Jazzmaster, vintage Strat, modern Strat, Floyd Rose, Bigsby,
it's just old
What do
an
you-
old Strat.
just regular old
Just-
6-bolt?
Yep. Just loosen the middle 4. A little bit of that. All good.
If you on the, floating or non-floating?
Just no little. I have a little mix. Yours almost decked. I'm a little bit higher up than mix.
See, I like it decked.
PRS vibrato is my favourite trem of all time.
Really?
Really, it's the
But-
best sounding one that actually floats for me.
That is
Interesting.
that's not a dual fulcrum design, is it? That is still all 6 screws into the.
6 screws, but it is floating, so it's not on the body.
But
So
that's
on
where
this guitar?
that's where there's like a knife
Just
edge,
there,
isn't
standard.
there, underneath?
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
So you can do that.
Yeah.
But you've
Well,
yeah.
the screws have got a little notch in them, so if you can't put them all the way down, you've got to.
I imagine Paul will be. He'll be well pleased to hear that, won't he?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great sounding thing.
My other one though is the old Carla tremolos. Remember them?
I do.
I
Oh, yeah.
love those.
Yeah.
But
They
that
were
is-
great.
That's sort of a Bigsby, isn't it? Really, it's a surface mount.
Yeah, but on the
roller.
rollers but it was
It's like a modern.
the Bigsby that worked.
Yeah, and that never really took off.
No,
did
it didn't.
The Kayla,
Yeah,
well, they were the massive. They were in competition with Floyd Rose.
yeah, but the Floyd Rose is different because you couldn't do all the whammy stuff on the dive bomb and stuff. When the Floyd Rose came along and you could slacken off the strings completely, and I saw that and just went, "Thank you."
Yeah, I love that.
This is for
But
me.
the Kayla was more subtle. It was more like you could do like slide Hawaiian stuff on the Kayla. It was really
Drop
nice.
some Kayla knowledge on us, people. Let us know about the Kayla.
That's the Vega Trim.
Trim.
Have you seen Vega Trim? It's another thing I've seen on. It's like a
I've
tiny little trim system that goes on the Strat.
Oh yes,
That
I've
looks
seen
really
those.
interesting.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
tried it, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, they do look great.
Yeah.
Okay, out to the floor. The stereo sound is reversed, says Tommy911. I just switched them both mics to be in the middle, so hopefully that will
Mick, man, what are you
kill
doing?
that, and we don't have any sort of phase issues anyway. Super cool hat glasses combo, Dan. Says
He is looking
David
sharp.
Gordon.
Yeah. You're
Marcel
looking sharp,
Marcel
master.
The years
Matulin.
have been vicious.
He says, "Is John Mayer hiding behind the camera?" He is. We've said because of Sob Rock, he cannot come on the show today.
Yeah.
I can go and get him if you like.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, in a minute. I think so.
Okay.
I
We
think
need to
so.
get him on then, because I'll go and get him.
Did you buy that Strat mix? Says Ryan Coombs. I did, Ryan. Yeah, I saw it. Andertons had put a massive discount on it for whatever reason, and I thought, well, that's too good to pass up. Had a few spec issues that really appealed to me. Came in, tried it, and said, "Thank you very much." Sold. So it'll be on the show soon.
Oh, UK Guitar Noodle says the Carla had banjo sustain.
Right.
Interesting.
I don't remember it being.
Oh, it's John.
Have you played Guthrie Govan's signature Charvel?
Yes.
Because that has got a version of a Floyd Rose trem system on it that I don't think anybody even knew ever existed.
Right.
So it's early doors, no locking nut,
Okay.
but locking
Yeah.
saddles,
Yeah.
and it's a much smaller. It's almost like if Fender had
A
done
really fancy Fender locking
yes.
bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Very nice, very nice indeed.
Did you see that clip of? I've talked about this quite a lot, but Guthrie's playing with Hans Zimmer. He's doing a solo.
The capo change.
The string breaks. All the
Oh, no.
tension. So, obviously the tension of the guitar
Yeah, yeah.
changes. He whips out a slide and finishes the rest of the solo on a slide. He
Of
didn't
course.
miss a beat, and you wouldn't know unless you were looking specifically. It's just
He's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, all I've ever seen again. No, this might have been Stephen Wilson rather than Hans Zimmer, but I've seen the most ridiculous capo changes mid like full legato, just like capo needs to be over here. No, move it down here. No, songs change key, move the capo again.
Man,
Is he the best guitar player in the world ever?
Who?
Guthrie Govan.
isn't that
He's
Just
one of
literally lobbing that hand grenade in early doors.
He's one of
well,
them,
but
isn't he?
It's been said
he's
a
up
lot.
there. And
Absolutely.
how do you compare Guthrie to Pat Martino?
No, I get
Or
that.
you know what I mean? But to be fair, actually, Guthrie just got Pat Martino. Okay,
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I know
like
what you
if
mean.
it was like we need Guthrie in for a session, and here's
there is
every
nothing he
genre
can't
of
do.
music there was.
There is nothing
Yes.
he can't do. Yeah, that's
So
Paul
maybe-
Gilbert as
maybe-
well. Paul Gilbert can play any song. When we had him on here, he just plays any song.
He is completely.
He's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
all of the songs in his head.
Yeah.
Incredible.
yeah.
Anyway.
That's, you know,
Jonathan Burton says Mick doesn't mean the one on the Silver Sky, right? That was a good question, Pete. You
Yeah,
said
'cause that's what I
which
said.
one? I'd forgotten about
Yeah,
the
I
Silver
was,
Sky. Sorry.
I thought you.
Yeah,
you
I mean
mentioned Silver Sky.
the old PRS Tremolo. The new one is a Trem.
I didn't hear
Isn't
that.
it?
What do you? What the?
The on the Silver Sky, it's basically a Strat Trem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very
I
similar.
mean, it's
There's one over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
the,
very
the
similar.
Silver Sky is unashamedly trying to be, you know,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
different.
And very nice too.
Yes, it's a great
Oh
guitar.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
guitar.
I mean, so you know what? On that front, it's like, so why should PRS get so much stick for doing the Silver Sky when Sir and Anderson and
Encore.
I mean, yeah, I suppose every other
guitar-
brand there is has done, at least on the Silver Sky, they tried to do at least the headstock's
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
you know, and
Nobody else gets stick for it.
I think I know the answer, and it's because PRS began as something unique and different,
yeah.
I just think
and
John Mayer.
that's what people respect Paul for. I think.
I think a lot of people have tried the hybrid thing that hasn't really worked, but the PRS thing did work really well.
Yeah.
And I think also a lot of those players tended to be, you know, the heavier genre of player that, you know, getting those sorts of the sounds that we associated with PRS. And then it was such a massive shift.
And they said, "Oh no, they've done an old man's guitar."
There you go.
Exactly that.
There you go. So
Because they
obviously
were
I love
considered
them.
more modern, maybe.
I see.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just think it's PRS and John Mayer polarise people, don't they?
Yeah.
So
It's where you want to be, though, isn't it? If you want to be successful, you have to be there. You have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
People have got to love you and hate you.
Yeah.
I think.
More to say, rather 50 people that.
I'd rather 50
Yeah,
people
yeah.
love me and 50 people hate me than 100 people never heard of me.
Yeah.
That's
there we go.
That's a Rob Chapman quote
There we go.
from 10 years ago.
And now I've got a joke for you. David Tompkins says, "I've got a question for Lee. Have you got any tips on getting the best tone out of a lurid pink Jackson Minion?"
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Only if you wear the right underwear.
Please
I
do
love
follow
those
my
videos.
Instagram channel.
They're
yeah,
great.
It's, that is that is my daughter's Jackson Minion pink fly. The whole lot was probably 200 quid, and I put the kids in the bath. I think they're just about old enough to know now that they won't drown, and then I sneak off into my daughter's bedroom, and I have a little noodle on the guitar. And I'm so into it now.
Yeah.
It's like I post it all.
I'm
It's
always
just
like,
like
I wonder what he's doing tonight. They're all tapping
and,
tonight.
and it's like the thing that cracks me up the most is like, what pedals are you using to get that tone? And it's like, well, it's like
The black stuff.
it's a kid's pink guitar into a battery powered 3-watt amplifier. That's all it is recorded on an iPhone. But it's great.
It's wonderful. I've got a serious question for you though, because I've noticed the last couple of years your guitar playing improve exponentially. So you've been on a journey, right? So what's been the biggest thing that you found over the past couple of years sitting with him? Because I get the same thing sat with him. It's like him kicking my ass every week.
But I think that's a matter of opinion, Dan.
You know what? It's absolutely. So first and foremost, and it probably right. So there's a motivation to want to get better.
Right.
So that has to be the first and foremost thing. And I don't deny coming to work and having to play with Pete every day probably was a part of that. But, and actually even before Pete joined us, playing with Rob and Rabir and all those kind of guys, there's a sense of going, come on, get better.
Right.
Then I did go on a journey of trying to learn. And Justin Sanderco was the only guy that ever really went, right, I can't teach you in the way I would teach a 15-year-old. You don't want to learn like that.
Sure.
You want to play guitar, and I need to throw you a bone every so often that somehow, something flicks a switch in your head, and we'll build on that.
Right.
But I'm not going to go, here's scales and theory
Sure.
and. And then I think the biggest one was I watch Pete play, and this is so cliche and corny, but it's what he doesn't play. It's what he doesn't play, and the note choice that he makes when he does play is what makes him a great musician. I'm saying he's sitting next to me like that.
Thank
and
you.
then so you do start to go very consciously, listen to music, get a vibe for it, feel the tempo, feel the chord changes, everything like that, and then go, okay, choose some notes. Don't just go, what key are we in? All right, that'll be that blues scale, blah, 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 blah. And I still revert to that sometimes, but I can't.
It's very cool and noticeable.
Well, it's very kind of you to say so.
Yeah, really
I mean, we
great.
were talking over lunch about your journey into jazz, and I kind of feel like I haven't got that motivation yet. So how did you get the... But, I was saying about you, I need to... So what was your motivation to go, I'm going to deep dive and
I've always wanted
explore
to... I
jazz?
guess I love knowing how things work. And I've always loved harmony. And so getting into learning about harmony, and that led me down the jazz thing. So I studied jazz when I was 19. So I understood it all.
They invented jazz then.
That's right at the...
No, they just wiped the dust off it.
They didn't even have indoor toilets then.
No, they hadn't invented guitars yet, but they had jazz.
Oh man.
So I understood the mechanics of it, but I never really got into it, right? Because I'd hear it and I was like, it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah. It's a hard one.
Then we had Kirk Fletcher on the show, and he did this amazing thing. He showed us all the years of B.B. King's vibrato and how it changed over the years, and we just sat there, just jaws on the floor. Like it was
tone that man just has got one of the best touch tones
unbelievable,
ever.
unbelievable.
Like one note, you're like, oh my god.
And I'll never forget, I was giving him a lift back to the station, and I just had so many questions, like, how do you do that? And then, he said to me, what are you listening to at the moment? And I'm like, all right, I was on my big prog thing. And I remember thinking, okay, I want to get this jazz thing happening. So I just started listening to a lot more jazz. And then I discovered Pat Martino. And that changed everything for me. And so, Pat Martino, Wes Montgomery, and I just started to hear it, started to hear the harmony and the altered stuff. And from that, the motivation to really dive deep into it came. But as you say, you've got to have that motivation to want to do it first. You know?
It's not an easy journey, jazz. It really isn't.
No.
And it's work, isn't it? There's no easy fix.
No,
But some people get it quick. It's like some people get computer coding. They'll literally just look at it and go,
absolutely.
and they'll just design whatever program or app or whatever.
But
and some people will never get it.
When you go back and listen to, Wes and Coltrane and all those guys, you can. There are building blocks that they all have.
Yeah.
And and it's like, because they're all sharing ideas at the time, but they're all operating on this level that Coltrane could play something, and Wes would go, oh yeah, that's cool, and then he'd just play it back on the guitar.
Yeah.
And they're all sort of operating up there. It's fascinating.
It's
anyway,
a high level of brain
it really
capacity.
is. It really is.
Okay, out to
That's
the
why I
floor
never
again. Ghost Winters says, can someone explain what the counter in the background is for?
Well, the one you have in your...
That's how many women are watching at any given time. And I think the highest it's
obviously
ever
not-
gone... Yeah,
it's not calibrated right.
No, it's not. It's the point after the point. That's how many.
It's a dB meter. It's a dB meter. It's how loud things are.
Well, I've got my...
Yeah. It's a good... do you know what? It's a good...
Scout's watch.
Hey, Scout! Do you know what? I think it's really important. We started using it because you started using it. And I know we don't position them correctly to be... accurate in the sense it's a relative thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
So we know in this room that anything less than about 100 dB on that isn't what I would call giggable.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just how we use it as that sort of, and it's really interesting how often something sounds loud and you look over in the corner and go, it's not that loud, or vice versa. I think we had the Magnatone amps and we were like, doesn't sound that loud, then you go, holy mother of moly, that's moving some air.
I can scream 123 or something dBs as well.
Wow.
Just in case you wonder.
But only when someone doesn't call a cable. Right?
Yeah.
Greetings from Portugal, says Ruben Miguel. Greetings from Portugal. Can you people talk about 7¼ inch radius guitars? Do they buzz or do they not? The Net Tele Signature, for example. Net Signature?
Net?
the net tele signature. I'm sorry if we don't understand that correctly. Net jet bet.
You know what? Can I just say, if a 7 1/4 is set up properly, there's no problem playing it.
Yeah, completely.
And then if it feels a little bit, you're bending a little bit here, then instead of bending that, just go further up and bend it up there.
Did it?
I mean,
it become? You know, in the 80s, with the sort of advent of the shredders, did it just become impossible to get the action low enough?
Yeah, exactly.
And so therefore it was like, the only way we can get the action down to the point, you've got to go flatter and flatter and flatter. Right. And then you did the 9.5 thing just become like a happy medium for Fender? It's like, still got a bit of a curve, but a little bit lower. So it's not really that 7 1/4 is wrong. It's just...
And remember that Gibsons have always been 12. Yeah. So it's not like 7 1/4 is an old thing and 9.5 is a new thing. Gibsons have always been 12. So there's always been flat fingerboard radiuses out there. And of course, classical guitars are flat. They're so flat they feel concave, don't they? They feel completely weird.
Yeah. Like Ibanez 16, it's just really flat. Yeah, you have to get used to it. But you get used to anything, man.
I think what happens is on old Strats particularly, vintage frets pretty skinny. Put a bit of relief in the neck, you then get the little kick up on the end of the fingerboard there, and it's really easy to can I use the word choke without us all laughing? To choke off your Strat. And
just choke on it, don't choke on it.
Do you know what, the thing for me that I talked about guitar radius for years without actually ever seeing a diagram of what it was. So I think go and Google what does it, and once you realise what it's actually talking about, you'll realise that actually the difference between 9.5 and 12 and 14 is marginal anyway.
And Lee, you will attest. You're a man who sells loads of guitars. Would it be fair to say people don't really want 7 1/4 anymore?
There are certain fashionable things that the right guitar player like Eric Johnson or John Mayer or whatever will go, you need, or I like, Class A, true bypass, 7 1/4 inch, and then all of a sudden the guitar buying world just goes, well, that's what I need. There's no real sense that I really understand why it's different to anything else. And I kind of feel a bit like the 7 1/4 inch fretboard went out of fashion and then back into fashion. And
I also think that a lot of people they expect a really low action on any guitar these days, and they expect it to be super easy and slinky and easy to play. When actually, sometimes it's better if it's not. If you get a little bit of, if you have to not fight with the guitar, but if there's a little bit of
resistance,
just a little bit when you bend the note up and you need to,
We had an amazing experience actually in the early days of the show. We had Tom Quayle come on the show.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe anyone could play like that, right? And I...
Does that say? Well, I can't even read it. Which one are you going with?
The middle one.
Thank you, UK Guitar Noodle, for your contribution to the chat. UK Guitar.
I don't know why we
waiting for that.
I don't know why we didn't think of that one.
I'll set him up. You knock him down. That's how it works.
That's brilliant.
So Tom was doing his thing, right, with that fun-looking guitar, and so I gave him my Les Paul, which is set up with 11s and a higher action. It didn't matter at all to him. It was just perfect, So the really good shredders, doesn't matter.
No, he played my telly in here, and he was doing the same thing.
Exactly that.
Pete, when you used to go on tour, did you find that? So one thing that Dan and I find is, you play in the studio, and you want everything easy and nice and nice and nice. But then when you're out and you're kind of full bore playing, do you find then you want the guitar to fight back a bit more, or does it not make any difference?
Don't really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky to play so many different guitars all the time. Any radius, any girth of neck, and anything. So you just get used to playing. You pick that guitar up, and it takes you 5-10 seconds, and then you're just into the guitar.
So that's an interesting on the original question there. Sorry, I've forgotten who's asked it, but on the original question there, that's a really interesting point. So I guess someone like Pete, who plays millions of guitars all the time, actually it matters less because you don't get used to one specific thing.
No, and
you can adapt, right?
What I'll do with a guitar, I'll play a guitar, and that guitar gives me a certain way of playing, and it gives me a certain feel, and I will play to the to the guitar. You know, like a pedal or whatever it might be, amp. You know, you play, you plug that in, it sounds away and it feels away.
Yeah.
And
I've only had
gives you
of all the people that I've interviewed on the channel, they have one consistent thing that they need out of a guitar. And that's just it stays in tune.
Yeah.
That's all anyone cares about when they're professional level. It's like
I'm so unprofessional.
If it just stays in tune, I'm fine.
I don't even care about that anymore.
I got a great question here from Curtis R. He says, Legends all. I was stunned by my own deeply emotional response to Hendrix's Strat on Paul David's video, nearly religious. Have you ever been caught off guard in this way?
I didn't watch the video.
Well, I saw the thumbnail, so he's managed to play.
He's managed to play one of Hendrix's.
Which one is
Strats,
it? The white one,
black one.
Okay.
And I'm watching it, just opening the lid, and Paul sat there, and you can feel.
Oh, there's definitely.
You know, and it's like So this is really sad, but when I first got to England, massive XTC fan, and the drummer who was Dougie. I was going to see playing this band this night, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm from Swindon. I'm a big fan of XTC. As a matter of fact, my ride cymbal is Terry Chambers' old ride cymbal." And I'm like, "No way!" And that was my first ever sort of hallowed.
Yeah, and you feel it. I think it's quite an interesting observation on the whole. We were talking about it earlier before we turned the cameras on. Where, how much difference does it really make? And we're talking about custom shop Strats, and we're talking about Vinteras, and we're talking about cheap Chinese pedals, and we're talking about handmade this and that. How much does it really matter? And I think if you water that effect down that Paul Davis had, so this is a guitar that Hendrix has touched, right? And that the value of that is palpable, and he feels it, and he feels a certain way, sets off a bunch of chemicals in his head that make him feel a certain way. I think if you water that down, when you go into your guitar shop and you buy a Fender Strat, you get 2 or 3% of that.
Yeah,
because
it's Hendrix and it's Clapton and it's Gilmour, and it makes you feel in a certain way. And I think that explains the psychosomatic way that everything works. I think our camera's just gone off. Yay!
So you can hear us, but they can't see us.
You can't see us.
Yeah,
That's it?
Yeah, it's okay, cool.
It is a funny one, that one.
It is weird, right? So I remember picking up Andy Timmons' guitar, and I was in his rig. He said, "Try this out," and I'm like playing it. Oh, it just sounded nothing like Andy Timmons, and I couldn't work it out. Because this is a guitar that he's had with him for like forever.
Was that the Ibanez thing?
The Ibanez, his original prototype of the AT series.
Yeah,
and you hear him playing that thing, that's like. It's just magic, but anyone else on that thing, it just, it's really interesting. Yeah. It just brings different things out in different people.
Yeah, well, it's like playing Josh Smith's guitar with the 13 gauge strings on it.
Could you get a note out of it? Yeah.
And then he plays, and it's just clear, bright tone.
We couldn't get a note out of it.
No, I couldn't understand how little sustain I could get from Josh's guitar.
Yeah, I couldn't get any treble.
Yeah, it was just no treble, no sustain, no nothing. Yeah. I just felt like it was the heaviest sort of muted jazz tone ever from a Telecaster. And then he plays it. It's just outrageous. I'm not. Do you know what? I'm not. I understand what you're saying about the Hendrix thing, but I think as a retailer, with my retailer hat on, I just wish people would see those guitars for what they are. Which is something of value because of its providence.
Of course.
Yeah. And not...
It's not magic
it's not better.
Unto itself just because of that. Hendrix wasn't Hendrix because of that Strat.
No, Hendrix was Hendrix because of Hendrix.
Exactly.
He could have gone and played... He could have bought any one of 100 Strats at that time and got the sound out of it that he wanted.
But you can't take away from being emotional creatures as musicians are, and how important Hendrix and that was the vehicle that he used at the time. So it just there's weight to that, to be in that.
So I think it's amazing though that so when Hendrix bought that, Hendrix just bought a brand new Strat.
Absolutely,
that's all he bought.
100%.
I'm not anti the idea of buying an instrument with provenance and paying, an inordinate amount of money for it on the basis that you just want to own it, and maybe you're taking a calculated decision that it's going to be worth more in the future.
Yeah.
But all this BS around like it's better.
Oh no,
that I think is driven purely by the dealer that wants you to sell it, to buy it. Sorry, and I don't know. I'm a bit anti that kind of.
I think we've all been in the game of making videos that imply that something's better or worse because we put a bunch of similar things on a board and we go, which one do we like the best? But hopefully that's what it is. Which one do you like the best?
Yeah.
not arbitrarily which is best.
Which one
which
fits
one
you?
do
You're
like
playing.
the best?
Yeah,
that is the question.
You're playing in your fingers, isn't it?
Because it does, this whole discussion rather assumes a rationality in human beings, like we're these rational entities that make rational decisions, and you've only got to look at your own day to see that is not, humans are not rational in any way, shape or form.
Absolutely not.
So why do
we?
we expect to be rational when it comes to something like music or playing the guitar? There's nothing rational about it.
No.
It's like,
We're all different.
Yeah.
Thank God. Otherwise it would be boring.
Yeah, it's like, how do you choose your partner, for example?
Exactly
Do you just
exactly. As you.
Do you walk down the street and choose a partner because, they're just as good as all the other partners, aren't they? Objectively, if I measure this, they're sort of about the same height, roughly the same shape.
Dangerous ground, thin ice. Let's talk about pedals or guitars or something like that.
All Things Guitar says you guys were all kissing in the dark there, weren't you?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's for the night show. Are they swapping jumpers, says Jeff Rock.
Honestly, you don't want to know what goes on when the camera stops working.
Someone says, quick, do a blind test.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that we were all sat back in our seats inside of about a minute and a half,
and
I
you
think
were talking
just goes to show that,
Well, professional. On here, please. I'm getting a new Fuzz for Christmas, says Jim Krudgick. Don't tell my wife, I know.
New Fuzz.
Mm-hmm. Nice one, Jim. So she's bought you a Fuzz pedal. That's awesome.
He's bought her a handbag. But, this
Fuzz
has turned up instead.
No.
It's been a horrible
Single-handedly, the most difficult of all musical products to convey how it will sound when someone else.
The Fuzz.
Oh, yeah, it's like no two guitars, amps, cables, players, other pedals that you use with it will.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So in other words, what I'm basically saying is any YouTube channel you've ever watched telling you how Fuzz pedals sound, just disregard completely because it's a complete waste of time. It is though, isn't it?
Stuart.
No, I'm saying our channel too. I'm just saying, and just of Fuzz pedals.
Well, we did an experience day just recently. Hello to any of you guys who came on the second and indeed the first experience day.
Indeed.
Thank you for coming.
And to anyone that's coming to the future ones.
Yes,
can't wait to see you.
We did one recently, and I had 4 Fuzz pedals on the front of my pedal board, and I thought they all sounded rubbish that day. So it's just.
Okay, but let's be helpful here. So
she's already bought it.
Okay, but if you had to, do you just go? Just buy a big muff and just start there and see what happens?
Oh,
no?
Heavens no.
So where do you go?
Oh dear.
You buy a Fuzz face, a big muff, a tone bender, and a some sort of octave fuzz.
Gotta have the 4.
I think because do you know what we've said this before, haven't we? We there are thousands of people who play guitar who are I'd use the slightly vulgar term, but cash rich and time poor.
Sure.
So I don't mean like mountainous.
They're looking for
cash.
that. They're looking for that shortcut to that sound.
Yes, right. They are just like. Okay, Dan, thanks for the advice to say I need to go and try 100 Fuzz pedals before choosing one. I'm not going to. So can you just tell me the one to go and buy, please?
Sure.
So
and of course that's really tricky, right? Because Fuzz, we talk about it all the time. Fuzz is one of the effects that when you're first starting to get to grips with guitar, and you don't have a handle on your dynamics yet, Fuzz is almost impossible to make work. Fuzz comes into its own when you start to get to grips with touch and dynamics.
Yeah.
And that's
Volume
when
and
that's when you hear the difference between the 100 different fuzzes. So it's sort of Fuzz for me is a marker along the journey. When you get to that point, there's so much gain in a Fuzz pedal, and they're so sensitive, which is why all the little inflections in the side of the pick and all that sort of stuff make a big difference. Yeah, very interesting.
It is hard.
Did that help? Did that help? I'm not sure it did.
Well, no. So, but it's we often say there are no answers, only better questions.
Right.
So, you know, when it comes to fuzz, the reason that there are 10,000 different manufacturers of fuzzes is because it's such a simple circuit. It's so tweakable. You know, change one value, change one component, silicon and germanium, and then you start looking at all these variables, and suddenly you've got this unbelievable, different outcomes. Mm-hmm. Then you plug a humbucker into it, or a single coil. You go into a dirty amp, a clean amp, and it's like the variables are literally endless.
Yeah.
You know, so we've found that we love tone benders with a Les Paul. If you're playing single coils, though, the fuzz face has got better bottom end, which works better with the single coil. So, you know, there are certain things that you can use as a, sort of a benchmark.
Just buy lots of them.
But
what do you even call that? Because I know the Big Muff is classed as a fuzz, but it's like a full-on
Big Muff is
fat, fuzzy fuzz.
Yeah, so the Big Muff is a cascading gain circuit. So you've got a couple of different gain circuits sort of cascading into each other that gives you that saturation. Whereas the fuzz, say a germanium transistor fuzz, for example, you've just got this ridiculous amount of gain that's square waving the signal. So they're all like really different circuits. So you could look at the Rat and say at its most extreme settings, it's very fuzzy, but it's a hard clipping distortion circuit. It's all various amounts of gain. Like for example, EQ in a fuzz pedal. So if you apply the fuzz to the bass frequencies, apply the distortion to the bass frequencies, you get a fuzz. But if you don't, take a tube screamer for example, and the way that circuit doesn't apply overdrive to the bottom end, it's just it's like I'm going to leave those frequencies alone. I'm just going to.
So you mean like an EQ pedal before the fuzz or after the fuzz?
Well, just what's happening tonally in the fuzz circuit. So if you in a fuzz pedal where they apply so much gain, all the frequencies are going through and just getting blasted, right?
Yeah.
And all the bottom end. So traditional fuzz, your guitar is plugged directly into the base of that transistor, so it's getting everything. But an overdrive pedal might have a capacitor at the end that filters off some of that bottom end.
Yeah.
It might also not apply the distortion to the bottom end of that. So it's basically it's different levels of distortion and how that's applied frequency wise in the pedal that give you this crazy gamut of distortion sounds. And fuzz is a fancy word for distortion, right?
Yeah. Lots of distortion.
Yeah, but the way that you apply that... Sorry?
No, have you ever done a video where you put on like a Team Medic or like a G7 or something in front of a fuzz and after a fuzz? Have you ever done that?
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Have you done it? You've done one?
Yeah.
Okay. Go and watch that up there in the corner.
We've got 2,000 people watching us at the moment.
That's our best ever. You've doubled our numbers, chaps.
Thank you very much. Down to John, in all fairness. Yeah, absolutely. He fell asleep during the fuzz conversation. I don't think he uses fuzz, does he?
But he's shiny on the side.
But thank you all for joining us. This is awesome.
Yeah, I've got some more questions. There was one here. What do you think of Tom Bukovac? Says Rolf Martin Halderson.
He's the best. He's the best.
Yep.
Wonderful. Is he I've never met him. I've only seen his homeschooling sort of videos, but he seems to have like a lovely sense of humour. And
we're going to Nashville, and we're going to stalk him. Basically, we spend the entire time in Nashville. We're just going to drive around with a sort of
Tom,
loud, exactly, and just until people start giving us directions. Yeah. We annoy so many people that no, that way, just go.
I'm sure
we will find him. We will find him.
We think Tom is him and Michael Landau are the two guitar players I would like to be if I was not myself.
You'd be Tom or Mike Landau, did you say?
I'd be a combination.
Such a great
combination. Okay,
that's such a great question.
Okay,
come on then.
Two guitar players magically have a baby and it's you, and you get all their guitar playing talent. Who would those two people be? Mine are Michael Landau and Tom Bukovac.
It's going to be so cliche, this one.
John Mayer, Clapton.
I'm not going that.
Sorry.
Pat Martino and Dave Gregory.
Oh boy,
I got no idea, man.
Come on.
I did go super cliche and just If mine was Eric Clapton and John Mayer, the baby would just be John Mayer again. So it's basically
John Clapton.
I'm going to go
Mayer.
with slightly out there. I'm going to go Steve Lukather and BB King.
Oh,
nice!
That's my baby.
Well played.
Yeah,
Well
good.
played.
I'm not sure. I've never really had somebody that I listen to a lot like that, but people have said sometimes I sound like Steve Lukather a bit in some stuff. So yeah, maybe him and maybe Prince.
Oh, very good.
There we go.
Just because he's just
the chances are Prince and Steve Lukather have had a baby at some point.
Yeah, I reckon
and
so.
his name is Danish Pete.
We did have a question earlier on about Steve Lukather's sound and how to get it. Loads and loads of gain, scoop out all the middle, add a bit of chorus.
But it's his playing and his feel that is.
I'm being facetious.
Yeah, but
facetious.
he's got a super cool
It's
thing
all,
going
you just
on.
know it's him, don't you?
Yeah,
He's-
and that's the most important thing. Be you. You can never be Stevie Ray because he's been already.
Yeah.
So
It's a bit
borrow
difficult,
a little
isn't it?
bit.
I think
I
that's
think-
that's very, that's another thing you can sort of learn, I think, from being around. You're quite into that, like, don't just be you.
Yeah, you can
and
only
I
be the
think
best you.
I think a lot of guitar players end up just going.
They're going for one.
I want to be Stevie or.
I think the only way you can ever end up being you though is by going via everybody else. So in order to find out where you sit and what you're good at and where you speak the best, I think you do have to have your John
but you
Mayer
listen.
phase and your Stevie Ray phase.
Yeah,
and
or
your
you
Jimmy
BB King.
phase
Yeah, exactly. But you don't. People tend to get stuck into one player a lot.
Totally agree.
And then all of a sudden 5 years have gone past, and then now all of a sudden you sound exactly like this player, and you're going, well, hang on, what happened to me here in this? So instead of I'll just listen to loads of players and go, oh, John Mayer liked that bit, or whatever, whoever it might be. You take little bits and pieces, but you never copy it completely. You make it your own thing.
Yeah.
And then there's limitations. I can't play super fast licks. I can sort of, but not like speed licks. So I just go, well, then I'm not going to play that stuff. Because there's no point in it. I'm too old to unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Then
I just know we've had 4 weird kids that are going to have some crazy upbringing, probably taken into social care. But hey,
Albert King and Prince. Albert
it'd be
King,
good
man.
fun.
Ole Jakob Helgeson says, would a Samson CO1 studio condenser mic be appropriate for use in guitar recording? Hope you're having a great week, lads.
A Samsung.
Only if you're recording acoustic guitar, probably, and it wouldn't be. It's certainly not a classic.
I'll get a 57. If you're in doubt, just buy a 57.
It's the whole miking up thing is
Depends
it's
how many
quite-
mics you want as well. If you can only have one mic, then something like a condenser is probably a good idea. If you want to sing into it and acoustic guitar, like
you
Lee says,
mean one for everything.
But it's not easy
Good
to get
all-rounder.
good overdriven guitar tones out of a
much
condenser
harder.
microphone.
Well, we use full on large diaphragm condenser mics for all our guitar recording.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Oh,
do.
that's right. You've got. Is it the Aston? What have you got? Aston?
No,
Austrian
Sontronic.
audio.
Oh, AA stuff. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. We used ribbons before that. But
Yeah, I mean a Roy 121 and a 57 is just a classic setup. Or
Hard
get
to go
an
past
SM7B. You can sing in that. You can use that for podcast, and it records guitar really well.
But-
and also acoustic guitars is all right with.
I'm guessing budget's a question here, Ole. The other thing about the Samson is it's a USB mic, so just make sure that it's going to be okay plugging straight into your machine. If you've got a separate audio interface with a proper mic connection on it, then get something that has a proper mic cable. That will enable you to sort of upgrade and do things in the future. Whereas a USB, you're always...
I tell you,
It always means you have to plug it directly into your computer. Who knows whether that USB connection is still going to work in 5 years' time?
and
XLR mic
it's
cable always will.
all it's all about with guitars anyway. It's all about mic placement.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like it's
2 or 3 millimeters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's and
That's what's
I mean, how mad? I don't think you've got to go that far back in the annals of history or the annals of history.
The annals of history, yeah.
To just
That
go.
was
that was
They
a
got
guitar
some amazing,
Yeah.
all loads and loads of great guitar sounds with relatively affordable microphones just on guitar
Oh, totally.
cabinets.
Yeah,
and just,
100%.
and I would probably just have to say SM57 and play around with.
Where it
Just
is.
straight in
And
the
then-
middle of the cone, just a little bit back from like that much back, and then straight in the middle, and then
Anyway,
that's how I do it. That's what we do it here.
Yeah.
One in the middle and one on the side,
And you mix them.
and
Yeah.
then you got 50.
it always makes us laugh. We use a Royer 121, which is what £1,300 microphone, something like that. And the number of times that we've had like a £89 amplifier with a £1,300 microphone. And again, the idea is not to make it sound better by using that microphone. It's to make it sound more realistic.
Yeah.
It's to try and capture what we're actually hearing. But yes,
my experience of better recording gear is it requires less work after.
Yeah,
and it's pretty much always the case that.
I mean, shit in, shit out, good stuff in, good stuff out. It's really simple, really, isn't it?
Danny Howells just said, "I've just explained to my German girlfriend why your channel is so successful. I have to admit, her eyes did glaze over."
Yeah, 100%. Has the camera gone off again, Mick?
No.
Oh, we're down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember
I'll be honest with you. It's what's the Yeah, we're down to 25 girls watching now. Actually, I shouldn't say that as well. I'm my own worst enemy here. I'm using a very old-fashioned and stereotypical view on
well, I could tell you about
guitar.
our YouTube analytics if you like. It is 2% female.
Yeah, but that's our fault.
Yeah,
that's because.
But
we perpetuate that problem.
I know prominent female YouTubers whose statistics are also 2% female.
Yeah. Maybe.
That's a question from...
I think that's why on Instagram, obviously, my little pink dinky minion guitar, my little, I'm trying to rock it.
I'm wearing a pink shirt here, man.
I'm trying to rock it for my daughter and getting her inspired into watching.
I enjoy diving down the rabbit hole of making pink for girls here. Should we do?
No, as I was saying that, I just thought I'm going to get killed here.
Yeah, so let's move on.
I apologise.
Jason, something less controversial, I think. Jason Frichter wants to know if any of us own a Fractal.
No. Kemper, line 6.
Although I have to be honest with you,
Europe
the problem, obviously, from commercially, my Andertons hat on, and Fractal.
You don't sell them.
They don't sell through a retail network anywhere in the world. You just buy direct from Fractal. So I've never had an opportunity to try one, and I've got no sort of real sort of, I suppose, financial incentive to try one. But I have to be honest with you, it is. They've got a fair old percentage of that professional touring market, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah. John Mayer uses one.
I would certainly say that they're right up there with. I'm sure there are a few brands that would love to have a slice of the success that they've had.
I would love to try it out one time.
Mine and Dan's view on it has always been it's an answer to a question we don't have. So when the answer is Fractal, we don't know what the question is.
Do you like it?
Purely.
Well, surely the answer is. Play on stage with no on-stage volume, in-ear monitors, and consistently get the same sound every single night with a MIDI programmable.
And that's not a question that I've ever had to ask.
So and they're all very, very real problems for certain guitar players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But not us.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, certainly not anymore. Anyway, I guess you at some stage or other that was an issue for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
there's no point in having amps and cones of speakers in playing a stadium or arena because it's too cold and the temperature drops up and down and the microphones are different and
the mad thing though, isn't it?
It makes sense
to say that it's for anybody to even attempt to claim that it can be better when all it's trying to be is the same.
Yeah,
is slightly ridiculous.
Certainly cheaper, more convenient.
Yeah, more practical. Solves a lot of problems for the touring guitar player. But how can something be better when all it's trying to do is just achieve something that's the same?
That's always been my thing. It's like, you should hear my AC30 and my Fractal. I'm like, you should hear my 1961 AC30. It's really good.
Why are you doing that? That's
I've got to hold it. It takes two hands. Holding it by the handle. It's really heavy.
But
it's the feel thing. That's the thing with I think we talked about it earlier when we were having lunch. You talk about standing in front of an amp and feeling 4x12 or 2x12, and you do a chord and it's loud. You will never get the same experience on headphones or in ears or on little studio monitors.
I'll tell you what. I saw this thing.
Exactly the same.
I'm gonna buy one. It's one of those little kinetic things that you put over it's a band that you put over your chest, and you plug your headphones into it. And it puts the bass right through your body.
That's a good idea. So like the bass plates.
Drummers.
It's like a bass plate, but it's just a little thing that you just. It's like you got a backpack on almost, but it just goes over your chest.
That's going to be in your cupboard.
Do you remember the name of the drum stool that had the speaker built into the seat?
Yes.
And it was like the worst name possible for a product, and yet that was what they called it.
Yep.
Anyway, prize to the person that first comments.
Wasn't it a play on something to do with bottoms and something being up them.
Not exactly. No,
Wasn't it that?
it was.
Play with bottoms.
It was. I just say it was a bum chum. Do
There
you
you go.
remember that? The bum chum drum stool.
Excellent.
Which I'm pretty sure when I was 13 or 14 at school, we used to call that something else on the playground. But
No.
so
Okay, moving
that
on.
was a long time ago.
All right,
BV wants to know what is each of our favourite pedal in 2021, because this is our Christmas event.
Wow.
The Dane.
The
The
Dane.
Dane.
Simple.
In 2021 though, did it have? So it has to be a new release for 2021.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Otherwise, that's just gonna be clon.
Wow.
So, when was the
I know what it
CXM
is.
board out? That was last year.
Last year.
The Fjord Fuzz stuff.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Had
The
with a
Fjord
lot
stuff.
of. I'm trying to think of videos where we literally just went because it is. It gets slightly mad, doesn't it? If you just do, I mean, I don't know how many videos we've done on pedals in 2021. Let's say probably somewhere between 50 and 100. And there's only so many ways that
wow.
you can reskin
Yeah.
a Tube Screamer clone or something
Sure.
before you just start to go, oh, it's all
Yeah.
getting a bit homogenous here. But so I'm trying to think of videos where the two of us got excited,
Right.
and that was one.
Yeah,
Fjord Fuzz.
the Odin version 1 was one of those.
My so
Yeah, what was yours?
this isn't a pedal from this year, but it's the first time I've played this year. It's Noble's ODR1. Literally the first
I
time
can't
played it this
believe you
year.
guys haven't. It's
No.
such an iconic pedal. It's
And
just
it's
great.
just like-
It has been though a sort of secret source pedal for. I mean, I swear blind that I've got visions of myself almost at Andertons in short trousers selling Noble's ODR1.
Yeah.
I think it was like there in the 80s, wasn't it?
I think
Yeah.
there's also the assumption that they've always been like that.
You mean they've been quite a different sounding pedal?
Yeah.
Right.
They've been built differently, significantly down the years. And,
Yeah, I mean, you want the original one with the white N on it. That's
I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, I think the new ones sound absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
But I do know a few people who bought them years ago and went, this is junk, and it broke down. So
Yeah.
Did you have fun with any of those Chase Bliss pedals? You know, things
CXM,
like
CXM 1978 is my
Yeah.
favourite pedal
Yeah.
of all time ever, apart from my Klon.
Yeah.
right.
We never tried that.
That's the reverb,
You
right?
haven't
It
tried
is
the reverb?
Utterly. I don't even
Oh,
like reverb
man.
pedals, and it's on my board.
It will
We haven't
blow
tried it.
your
Well,
mind.
we'll we have to do that. Then.
It's mind blowing.
It is. So I
Sticky.
I had with some pedals from Meris, and one of them was the reverb, which is the
Mercury 7.
Mercury 7. And
Yeah.
we're playing it, and I've said this is the best reverb I've ever heard in a pedal. It was like, yep, totally. And then when we saw the Chase Bliss stuff, Meris did the algorithms for the reverb, and it's like the reverb sounds that when in like a lot of those early 80s, like Blade Runner and those sorts of things. Those really atmospheric, massive. They're all in there.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Really mind blowing.
No, they're
I think there's
amazing
loads of
pedals.
DSP and other pedals that can do those sounds, but it does it with a kind of fidelity that is mesmerising.
And
Yeah, the
also
slow,
because
the
of the
Always Slow is one that can do that kind of
That's
That's
good.
Yeah.
magical sort of just.
Yeah.
You just.
but the sliders
into
as
it.
well. So when you change your presets, you can see where you are, and it actually makes a really
And
big
change
difference.
anything really quickly rather than having to dive into a menu.
And it's MIDI, M1D1.
M2D2.
Yeah. So that was mine.
Yeah.
Did you have
Barry-
one, Mick?
Barry, what's it?
Did you have a favourite pedal of
It was
2021?
that.
Oh, that reverb.
Yeah, even
Right.
though it wasn't strictly.
So you've gone ODR1, you've gone reverb, and we've gone Fjord Fuzz.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's
Thanks
so
for coming back to
many-
the question.
So
I
many
just
pedals.
wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah.
clarify.
Crazy.
Actually, also, I've got to say my Dan Drive, one of whichever of the.
Yes.
Um,
The tweet. What's it called?
not helping.
The Keeling.
The Tweedy.
No,
No.
it's what's the word I'm looking for? The JHS Fuzz that came out in 1965.
Oh. JHS as in John Albie Skews now
Yeah,
you're talking
Octavia.
about.
Yeah. The come on, it
All
was
his
a variant
pedals are
on a
great.
tone
Argo.
mod. There is a variant on a tone bender.
Oh, these
Zonk
Zonk
machine.
machine.
Zonk Machine, yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
So it's either one of my Dan Drive Zonks, which has changed my view of Fuzz
I don't think I've seen that.
forever.
No,
Wow.
we.
Oh, it's very
yeah,
cool.
I've got.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have the secret.
Anyway,
I've
much
got the
more
secret.
importantly, Barry Creed wants to know shoes or trainers.
Depends on the occasion.
I mean, when you say shoe, is that like a formal thing you'd wear to a wedding?
I think it's not a trainer.
Okay.
See,
so
that's a shoe.
But is that a shoe or is that a trainer?
I go shoes then.
Is this a shoe then?
That's a boot.
That's a boot, but yeah.
What's the difference between a shoe and a boot?
What were those nice shoes that you always used to buy? Red
Wing.
Red Wings, yeah.
Yeah, I bought a pair of too small.
This is where the conversation just goes.
Yeah.
Like, this is how,
Red Wings for
that's
Christmas,
what we
please.
really talk
I'll
about when the cameras aren't on us, isn't it?
Shoes.
It's like,
Adults wear shoes.
Shoes, man bags, any kind of male grooming products. That's way more interesting.
Blue Maroon wants a favourite chord from each of us. Blue Maroon wants a favourite chord. I'll give you mine, and Dan will tell you what it is.
That pedals your chord.
It's an E minor 9.
Are you playing the E? You are playing the E, yeah.
Just a lovely voice.
Oh no, I don't know.
I'll tell you mine. It's a G chord.
Yeah, I can't say that now, can I?
But so you take that same voicing, right? Mm-hmm. And then I play it up here. You get this lovely.
Yeah, but you can play that all down the fretboard.
Yeah.
Play it in third.
I'm saying,
look,
this is
mine.
mine.
It's not a guitar lesson. We just want to know your favourite chord.
There you go.
That's not your favourite chord. Your favourite chord is a sus, surely.
No, my favourite chord is this. It's just a sharp.
Oh,
that's
sharp
a good
11.
one.
Show the people, Dan.
Sharp 11.
Yeah, here we go. Can you see it?
I've got a bit of sharp 11, if I'm honest.
Just the background.
And in what context could you use that chord?
So
It's a silly question, really, because I suppose there must be one.
If I'm in the key of A,
Yeah.
right, and then the sharp 11 appears on.
None of those chords are in my A.
It appears on the 4th.
Just play a G chord, man.
So yeah.
So Pete, you're going for G?
I don't know. I mean, a G chord is the one. Here's a G chord. Well, I like these open chords. With the open, I did not in tune.
So like playing chromatically in E.
No, it's like you just do like A. You've got the B and the E string open.
Yeah.
And
nice. So a drone, something with a drone.
yeah, so you just sort of open chords. I liked it with the B and the E string just ringing out, so it gives it a bit of a.
Lee, got a favourite chord?
So there was more than one chord.
Try the neck on that. It's absolutely stunning.
I've said to you.
Okay.
That's
your go-to.
Okay, so right, G chord.
Yep.
Should you play?
That's the question.
The 3rd fret on the B string.
Yes.
Because
That depends on the song.
It does depend on the song.
Because if you're recording something, I've been recording something and I'm doing like a session, and you put the D on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work well.
I'm going to give you 2 reasons why it's got to be there. Number 1, it solves an intonation problem. It solves the intonation problem. 2, no music I want to listen to sounds like that. That's Michael row the boat ashore, isn't it? I don't want that.
But if you're going, it's got to be there.
It's a strong argument, Dan.
it
There
is
you
a
go.
strong argument.
For those of you joining late, this is my new guitar. It's
Look at that.
The best story about this guitar is 2.5 years ago, I asked Mick to help spec up a Fender Strat based on his Sonic Blue one, and he gladly provided me with some tips as to what we should spec. And then Mick phoned me a week ago, really surprised that he'd seen a guitar on our website that he really liked.
Because I'd forgotten all about it.
Yeah, and I had to remind him.
I've messaged you pictures of that guitar.
Have you?
Yeah,
Because it was actually charcoal frost metallic.
That's right.
That's right.
We got those as well.
Yeah, we got charcoal frost.
I think
and
they've
I
sold
was
out.
looking for a charcoal one, and it never came up, and it never came up.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, we
Because I
definitely
texted you the
definitely
pictures when they
messaged you
turned
about
up.
that.
They all had the ones that I saw.
Maybe they were too heavy.
They all had 9.5.
No.
So anyway, then COVID happened, and it all went rubbish. And then this came on the website, and I'm like, I think it's new Strat o'clock.
It's
very cool.
yeah.
This is really nice. This is from Thomas Schlack. He says, "Greetings from Nashville. Just wanted to say thank you all. You all motivated me to chase my dream. I now work for one of the best companies in the world. Thank you for all you do.
Good on you. Which company?
Does he live next door to Tom
Bukovac?
Because if you could be our man in Nashville. Find Tom. Hashtag find Tom.
Hashtag get us Tom's number.
Greg Pilvant. He says they get John Mayer on the show, yet none of them ask him any question. That figures. Okay, I think
he refuses to talk.
He keeps looking at me weirdly.
Do you want to ask John a question?
I'm frightened. He's so. He's
want to ask him a question?
He's so deep.
So John, what's
No, he's gonna shine off it.
What's your favourite end to play?
How are you, Connie Johnny lad? John Mayer here. The thing I like most about me amp snake is when they're like really loud and clean. So I like them tumbles, I like them a lot. And some other things, but mainly the tumbles. Thanks very much, bye!
Wow.
Dude, you missed it!
Yeah.
Was John Mayer on again?
He was!
Literally, I know.
Did you
got the best accent ever.
If you don't know this, quite a few people have called us over the months. Billy Gibbons has called us.
Right.
Angus Young.
Mateus Assato.
And the thing we didn't know is they're all Geordies.
They are all Geordies.
Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It
comes out.
My favourite Mateus Assato story was, I'm pretty sure either Pete or Rob used Siri, like a voice-activated message, to suggest we should get Mateus Assato to come on the show.
Oh, that was me. And
wasn't it? And basically, while you were driving, and I got a message saying you should get Mayonnaise Potato to come on to the show. I wish I'm going. Who's Mayonnaise Potato?
That was serious. It's spelling control.
So apologies there, Mateus. You shall forever be known as Mayonnaise Potato on Andertons' YouTube channel.
Okay.
But please do come along. Because you're very, very good on the guitar.
Oh, it would be nice to
Very
know.
good indeed.
Hector Montalvo wants to know from all of us. Quick answers, boys. What gear do you not have that you want before you die?
Oh, before you die?
Oh, man. I don't know what it is yet, but a gorgeous vintage Gibson jazz guitar. And maybe a 175 or something.
Oh, 175. Yeah.
That's a bit of one of those like...
Old Strat, easy for me.
Yeah, but you've got one, haven't you? Or you mean an actual proper old...
An actual one. Yeah, I want an old telly. I think that would be nice. Old 60, maybe 8, I don't know. Something like that would be nice. One day.
Man, I mean,
Lee owns a guitar shop with all the stuff in the world in it. So what would you like?
Yeah,
you don't already have.
I would. You know, I'm gonna go. I would like to think before I die, I will acquire. I mean, no, that's true because I'm never going to go and spend $1 million on like an old '59 Les Paul. If I won
59 Les Paul. Yeah, if you won the lottery,
I think I probably would. If you're just talking like money no object bucket list stuff, I'm going to go back. No, I'm going to go back on what I said. I would love to own a guitar that one of my heroes played. I'd love to own like a Dave Gilmour Strat or a Clapton Strat or something like that.
John Mayer,
because
Silver Sky.
Tim Chalmers. Tim wants to know: could Pete do another duet with Mary, please? Dreams was killer. Mary Spender, that is.
Sure.
Do you know what that was? Well, fair play when she came up, and Mary wasn't hugely well known on YouTube at that time, but we'd seen her and I thought she had something about her and was going to be successful. Anyway, we invited her on, and honestly, she just sat down and said, do you know the chords to that tune, or whatever it was? And Pete's like, yeah, I think so.
Play that guitar.
And literally what you see happened like within the next 5 minutes. And it was like, oh, all right.
That was nice. Yeah, we'll do that again. Absolutely.
She's very talented, and Pete is an exceptionally talented, guitar player as well. But yeah, that was
that's all the X Factor have done. You just have to get on with it.
Genuinely. I'm sure you guys, I'm sure you guys, we've all heard stories of bands spending 2 years in the studio trying to get a song down, like that, and that was like. Boom, there you are. Thanks very much. Off you go. I know we didn't write it. Can't claim to.
I wish.
Yeah.
Well, on the subject of that, Jordan Y wants to know: have you guys seen the new Beatles documentary? And what do you think of it? Briefly, Dan.
So, I'll try and be brief. I spent the weekend watching it. There were more than a couple of times where there were tears. I think it's the best thing I've ever seen. I cannot say enough about it. I've never been so motivated to do music in my life after watching that film.
That was incredible.
Wow.
I've only watched the first
Wait for
episode.
that little, like when they have on the back of a book or for a film, little comments. That'll be there from Dan Steiner. That's like the best. I've got to go and watch that.
You have to.
Talk about, not spending a year in the studio to do a song. These guys had to write and record the whole album, in like just over a couple of weeks. Anyway. Stunning masterpiece. I was a massive Lord of the Rings fan, and I cannot believe that Peter Jackson has now beaten Lord of the Rings.
Did he do it?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do you know, before
his name Peter.
About 4 or 5 years before he passed away, Greg Lake started coming into Andertons.
Oh, wow.
And I hit it off, and it was before we started doing these interviews, which is kind of sad, really, because it would have been fun. But anyway, we hit it off, and we always used to chat, and I remember having a conversation with him about songwriting, and just it must be amazing to have this innate ability. And he said, no. He said, honestly, if I said to you, right, Lee, we're going in the studio this morning, we get there at 9 o'clock, and by 5 o'clock we have to have finished a song, he said, we'd have a song.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay. It's just like, so I don't know whether or not that it is quite as mechanical as that, or whether you do need someone like, the Beatles or Greg Lake to do it. But
the thing is, it's because those songs mean so much to us. So we had Simon Neil on from Biffy Clyro, and it was, I'm a massive Biffy Clyro fan. My whole family is. And actually, took my daughter and son to see Biffy Clyro, my son's first ever gig.
wow.
To see them at the O2 in Bristol, so it's quite a small venue, and I mean they were just on fire. But so asked him about songwriting, and said to him, when you write a song like Many of Horror, that do you know that it's like, well, it's another song that I've written, and it came from that place, and at the end, when they listen to the album, they'll pick the singles. But it's not like they have this moment that they go, man, I've just written an absolute corker and this is going to go, Yeah.
You do wonder, don't you, when they listen to the mix of Bohemian Rhapsody, they were like, nah, that'll never go anywhere.
But that was the thing, right? They gave it to the record company, and they said, there's no way we can use this as a single.
Yeah.
Who was
No radio station will play
Who
this
was
song.
the guy that listened
Everett.
to that and just went, nah,
Kenny Everett.
you guys are...
It was Kenny Everett, wasn't it?
He
He said, I'm going to play it in full.
He championed it, that's right,
Yeah. VL Door or Vidor or VL Door, sorry, I can't see. He says, Mick, regarding the Strat, isn't it similar to a Vintera Road Worn? Yeah, it is very similar, and they do one in that colour too. And the Vintera Road Worn is infinitely better value for money, so it is similar. Yes.
Did they do one in that colour?
Yeah, there's a finest one.
Not Road Worn.
Oh,
I think it's just regular
the
Vintera.
standard one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is, honestly, we talk about the law of diminishing returns and all that kind of stuff, and by the time you're up to £4,000 or £5,000 on a Strat, you've hit a pretty flat part of the curve at that point, and the value is happening between like 0 and 1,000.
Yeah. I would if I was on a normal semi-sensible budget and I had to buy a Strat, that's exactly what it would be, Vintera.
Oh, it's totally out of tune.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Vintera or Road Worn? Because Vintera is not the Nitro.
I'd have to play it, I think.
Yeah, so Vintera is the kind of the sort of vintage lookalike inspired vibe, but not beaten up.
Yeah.
And Road Worn is the pre-runner of that.
Yeah, they're all Ensenada though, right?
There is a. Shall I say this on YouTube? I'm going to now anyway. There is an unofficial story behind why they only ever do the Nitro finishes on Road Worn rather than on Vintera. Because when you go to custom shop, you can have a super shiny Nitro finish if you want, but out of Mexico, you can only have a Nitro finish if it's Road Worn.
Yes.
And you can draw your own conclusions as to how difficult it is to make a completely flawless shiny guitar out of Nitro, and why they only do Nitro and Road Worn finish. Right. And it's like a double whammy, because most people want the... Well, no, that's not true. Not most people. A lot of people go, if only Fender did Vintera, for example, in Nitro. Yeah, but it's just such a bugger to do it flawlessly.
If it's a great guitar, man. Wow. We've got how good that was.
I'm getting an acoustic made at the moment, and it's being finished with shellac and French polish.
Oh, right? Shellac.
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 It's It'll have, by the time it's finished, it'll have 150 coats of shellac.
Yes.
It'll be less than 1/8 of a mil thick, and it takes a month.
This
is that finish on.
It's so interesting you say that, because I've had a conversation. I had one conversation. I can't remember who it was with, but just this idea of who are the true artisans of finish, and it's French polishers, isn't it?
Yeah, French polishers.
It's like that shellac kind of, and it's just like you say, just so difficult to get that perfect and beautiful.
And it's an art form, you know. So I filmed him doing the last little. You know, he got out this old part of the guitar is made from an old Brazilian pool table, and he got the leg, which was shellac. He showed me how he finishes the French polishing on it.
You're saying there's a one-legged Brazilian walking around going, "Where's my pool table?"
Brilliant. Anyway,
it's
probably.
Okay. Albert says, if you had to burn one of your guitars as firewood on a cold winter night, what would it be?
What guitar?
Gosh.
I wouldn't burn any guitar.
One of Dan's tellies, obviously.
Yeah. The old one. The oldest one he's got.
Very good.
It would be my road-worn telly, because it weighs about 10 kilos.
This is not bad. This is.
Mine's not
all right.
a good sounding guitar.
It'd be such a shame, wouldn't it, to have to burn a guitar just for the sake of... Can I not just opt to be cold that evening?
Yeah.
I'll put an extra jumper on and just play the guitar.
Yeah, that's a bit like... So I suppose if I really, really felt like the only good use of a guitar was to burn it, I think I'd just find someone else that wanted it more than I did and just give it away.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I don't own any guitars like that. I sold a few. No, back in the day, I can say this now because it's a long time ago. Back in the 80s, we used to sell a brand of guitar called Rockwood.
Yeah.
And it was an entry-level guitar, and it had the speaker built in underneath.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, everyone, not just in Andertons, but the trade, referred to them as firewood, not Rockwood. But
that's terrible.
they weren't great, I must admit. But there we are.
Was that a John Hornby Skews distributed
Absolutely.
brand? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Sir Walrus the Glorious wants to know, Mick, I would love to hear your opinions about amps for apartment playing. Well, funnily enough, we were all talking about this over lunch, and we all decided that one of the questions we get asked a lot is, what's the best 5-watt valve amp I can buy for playing at home? And the first answer to that question is, well, it depends where your home is. If you live in Buckingham Palace, then no big deal, because you can probably play pretty loud. But if by home you mean an apartment or somewhere where you can't play loudly, we are all kind of the opinion that actually something like a Yamaha THR or Boss Katana or Fender Mustang or one of the new breed of digital modelling amps actually gives you much more fun at low volume than trying to wrestle the tone out of an aggressive sounding valve amp.
I do think.
Do we agree?
Yeah,
I agree to a point. I agree to a point. All I'll say is, if you need an amplifier that does a whole host of things at quiet level, you want it clean, dirty, all that stuff, then absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing that I discovered during lockdown, I've got a Laser J20, it's like a tweed, Laser J tweed deluxe thing, but it's got a built-in attenuator.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd never done before is turn the attenuator on full and then crank. Yeah,
it was loud.
Well, it wasn't that loud because the amp's 20 watts and like fully attenuated.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't attenuate it, it's ridiculously loud. But on fully attenuated, I could actually sit in my office, and I mean it was pretty loud, but it was like I could get away with it just. But if all I wanted was that sound, which turns out now I pretty much do, then that works really, really well. But it's not flexible. I can't do anything else with it.
No,
it's that sound.
The DP or V40, anything with a master volume on, with a master and a volume, can you just turn it down?
Yeah,
it's that simple.
We had this analogy we were talking at lunchtime, and I was kind of going like, if you buy a combo with a 12-inch speaker, and I think we all kind of go like, as a guitar sound goes, a little bit of volume, 12-inch speaker, that's where we're in our happy place, isn't it? Anything smaller than that, and I'm not convinced that we're necessarily in our happy place. And I was sort of going, if you said, what do I want to buy for my living room surround sound system, my home entertainment system, you wouldn't go, I'm going to buy a couple of 1x15s with the big long, because that's what they have at the O2 and that sounds great there. I'm just going to play it quietly.
Of course.
You'd buy a little Sonos soundbar thing that was absolutely designed. And for me, it would either be those Boss Wazza headphones, which are amazing. So get rid of the noise completely. Yeah. They are so immersive.
Boss Wazza
it would be Yamaha
headphones.
THR.
Yeah, good.
Or if you've already got a valve amplifier, absolutely 2 Notes Captor X and a little pair of the killer with the 2 Notes Captor X, to be honest with you, or not the killer, the kicker, if you like, are the little Genelec speakers that I've got. So I've got a pair of those little powered 8010 Genelec speakers. 2 Notes Captor X, and then any valve amplifier that you want. I've got a 100-watt valve amplifier running into that, and it just sounds immense. Oh, I say immense, like good.
Yeah, yeah. But
Tom Bukovac's on.
I saw that.
Hello, Tom. He says it's your
dear uncle.
That's amazing. Can't we actually physically get his? Can we not do the thing where he appears, or is that a Facebook thing?
That is a Facebook thing. I had a little technical meltdown there when you suggested that.
I thought you anyway.
No, you'd have to Zoom or do something like that.
Can we ask Tom a question? Can we ask Tom what his favourite chord is, or favourite guitar, or favourite? What's the best, Tom? What is the favourite song you've ever played on?
That's a great one.
What's your favourite song you've ever played on?
He's like, I've only played on 20,000 songs. I can't remember 19,000 of them.
Tom says, love your show. I just tuned in 2 seconds ago and I have no idea what on earth you guys are talking about.
About you.
Welcome to where we live.
That makes 5 of us.
Yeah, where do you live? Give us your number.
So what's your favourite thing that you've played on, Uncle Larry? We'd love to know.
Isn't there like a 15-second delay now that we have to wait until Tom replies? But
I think we're filling that quite well.
BV will let us know.
Nobles is on.
George Chrysos wants to know, Mick, do you like the Tone King Imperial lead channel or just the rhythm channel? I like them both, George. I think we probably all like them both.
Yeah.
Great with a built-in attenuator, probably my favourite one of all.
I would agree. Actually, I think if you turn the rhythm channel up to 10, it sounds pretty much the same as the lead channel anyway, so I don't know quite.
I'm still not convinced that the attenuator thing... I'm still not convinced that most people really use attenuators properly. So I remember talking to Bruce Dickinson, not Iron Maiden Bruce Dickinson, but dear old Bruce from Waterbear and Little Angels and all that kind of stuff. And he said, I use them with really loud amplifiers on stage to just take about 30-40% of the volume away so that it's sort of... And it's like, it meant... People that go, I take my 100-watt amplifier and I put the attenuator on full, so that it's literally just like, and that's my sound. I just go, that sounds
use the master
rubbish
volume.
most
Use
of
the
the
master.
time.
Turn the master down.
But
I mean, that's
hey diddly ho.
So John A is asking, who is Uncle Larry? So John, Uncle Larry is Tom Bukovac. Mick and I have been going on about Tom for ages. He's our favourite guitar player on YouTube. Go and check out.
Not just on YouTube.
Not on YouTube. Not just on YouTube.
Only on YouTube.
But Tom's
rubbish on everything else.
Tom's got a fantastic YouTube channel.
Homeschooling.
Homeschooling. So go and check that out.
He's actually under 501 Chorus Echo is his actual channel's name.
Yeah. But go on, just
it's brilliant.
Did he reply?
He's playing. It's just I'm sure he's writing now.
He's logged off.
He's gone. These guys are too much. I'm out of here.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go and watch talking about guitar, not playing it. I'm
absolutely. I'm going to go and watch Music Is Win or something interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Sorry,
fun.
Tom's come back and says, sorry guys, the last 20 years are a bit hazy.
I don't know that one. You hum it, I'll play it.
Very good.
Yeah, you can remember it was a 6135.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh, amazing. Does that work? Can we see who else we can get on the show? I like this whole live thing.
Do you guys know what boomer bends are?
Boomer bends?
Yeah, Dimitri wants to know. The real question is, can it handle boomer bends?
Boomer bends?
Do you know what boomer bends are?
No.
What handle boomer bends?
So Rick Beato did an interview with some dude who used the phrase boomer bends, and boomer bends was then quickly exploded into a pejorative term to describe all classic guitar playing. We think
so.
Is what
referencing baby boomers or referencing?
Yeah, so people of baby boomer age who basically go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can bend on a 7.25.
There you go.
Wow, I'm not sure. So sorry, what was the question again? Do we...
Do the bends.
What about it? Should we just go to the next question?
Yeah, all right. I'll play some incidental music.
That is
so
Yeah,
imagine a transition
accidental,
there. Just imagine a transition there.
just before I forget, Tom Bukovac has a new album out called Plexi Soul. Go and check it out. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Tom. That's
very
awesome.
cool.
Very, very cool, mate.
Very cool.
And we are coming to Nashville, and we will find you. It's gonna be...
Hide, you better hide.
Quick, come to Guildford while they're there.
Okay, Geraint Thomas. Hello, Geraint. He wants to know, is there any gear you wish a manufacturer would make or invent?
A really good sounding low wattage valve.
Very good.
Just use the master. Turn it down.
Do you know what though? Isn't that one of those things? If we knew what that was, wouldn't we go
Do
and
it.
try and make it ourselves?
I'll leave it to you three. I've done mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fair answer, Daniel. If you didn't get that, Dan said, I'll leave it to you. I've done mine. And I think props to Daniel for the gig rig and G3. Daniel's done it.
Still waiting for mine.
No, I'm quite happy sitting on the... You make it, I'll sell it, and you play it. And
Yeah,
then,
sure.
you know, but you can write about it and make blogs and all sorts and play it as well.
Stress about it.
I think we are living in the golden age of gear because the options are endless, from handmade, boutique, if we think of Reeves Electro and those sorts of pedals that have no circuit board and every component is hand wired, one leg to another, to affordable things like the Tone City range, where people who want to start to get into pedals, they can do it without spending crazy money, to being able to record an album in your bedroom. I think we really are spoilt.
I have got something then, and maybe this technology exists.
Okay.
I want a multi-track. I would like a multi-track. Sorry, Dad. A multi-track recording piece of software that I can just talk to, and it does. It does what it needs to do.
Well, Lottie can do that if you put your voice thing on.
Okay, so where voice recognition meets
because I'm still
that feels totally possible.
I am still
be
put
possible.
off of using anything like Logic or Cubase or whatever, because it just looks so bloody complicated.
Yeah.
And I just almost honestly I feel like if I could just go, right, give me some drums and this is the vibe sort of thing I want.
Yeah,
and
make me sound like
I'm going to play bass now. Put that on track 2 and give me a dirty, I don't know, like that.
Yeah.
I honestly think that would. I'd be so all over that.
Von Blade says a Vintera Tele Thin Line is what he would like.
They're good guitars. Good guitars.
Do they exist?
In what context?
Yeah, but this
is something that doesn't exist that he would like.
He's saying he wished someone would make it.
And what is it? A Vintera what?
Vintera Thin Line Tele.
I'm sure they make that, didn't they? They made it with the 2 big humbuckers on it.
In all fairness, that doesn't sound like one of the most outrageous requests,
No, I'm sure they did do that. They did one with a...
That's like somebody saying, what they should do is make one like a box with 4 wheels on the corners, which means you didn't have to walk everywhere.
Yeah, so I didn't have to feed my horse. I could just get in this thing. Didn't matter if it was raining or anything.
Okay, so they've done one with the wide range humbucker type.
That's the one I was thinking about. Yeah.
So maybe what you want is a
AI Glyn Johns.
No, they...
That's your
Deluxe Telecaster.
Is that a real thing? Or
So they already do a couple.
No.
I'm obviously out.
Yeah, but with the wide range pickups.
Glyn Johns is the producer for the Beatles.
Is Glyn
so
Johns
you
on?
want no,
he wants an AI version of Glyn Johns.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Who's your favourite producer of all time? Is that even a thing?
Sorry, got a question.
Yeah, Glyn Johns.
Tom Bukovac has actually poked him with a question.
Yeah.
He says, what is each of our single most important pedal ever made?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh.
So I'm going to say mine is the original Electric Mistress, 18-volt one, because that was the first pedal that I experienced. Up to that point, I'd been a rack digital guy, and I'd got the state-of-the-art, the best stuff ever, and I couldn't work out why my sound was so thin. How could it be thin when I just dropped all this money on all this crazy gear? And I was in a studio, and the producer says, try this, and I plugged into this old Mistress, and that first few seconds changed my life. And yes, it's my most important pedal ever.
Maestro FZ won a fuzz pedal because it spawned every fuzz pedal that came after every overdrive pedal and every distortion pedal that has ever existed.
Have you ever heard one?
Awful.
Yeah.
It's like the worst sounding. You plug it in and go, "Yep, that should never have taken off."
No.
Yeah.
But
you know,
it's
because
because
Crank Marshall.
and it's because I forget the name of the guy. I can't believe it.
Thanks for the question, Tom.
Yeah. He fixed that and created the tone buffer, and from there we have the fuzz face. And
I mean, I this dual overdrive SD2
amazing.
was a game changer for me and my sound back in the. I've had this since I was 14 or 15, I think, with the little switch on, so you can go
between the
and
two.
the ME5.
The
It just blew my mind back then.
Was
I've just bought one,
Yeah.
and it's almost like a brand new, and it was like 100 quid on eBay. And I am going to do a video on it, and we need to do something because that. But yeah, this is just.
I bought one of those.
Because I had the
What is that?
DS1.
What is that?
Yeah.
It's a Boss SD2.
SD2.
dual
overdrive.
Yeah.
Because I had the
The benefit of the
DS1
group.
and it was like I didn't really like it, and then I got this, and the
Amazing.
crunch setting in this is just lovely.
No,
then the
I'm
Dane,
going
of
to
course.
say all of them. I just, anything that I can stomp on to make me sound better. That's what I need.
People.
Vintera 60s Fiesta Red Strat says Stefan Kalinescu. He wants a Fiesta Red Vintera 60s. I cannot
There's a
believe
lot of love
that
for
doesn't
Vintera
exist.
there, isn't there?
Didn't we had a no, maybe we didn't.
Renee Rye Larson says the voice control thing is called a producer's assistant.
Yes, I mean that's the that's the really expensive way for me to achieve what I need, isn't it? Is buy my own studio and employ a producer of
Yeah,
some
just
sort.
to learn to play properly.
Rewind.
No, I'm kidding.
It's live, you can't rewind that. That's harsh.
Rewind.
I know,
wants
but it'll
to
be cut.
know-
We cut it. See, lots of love for the ME5. Look.
Yeah.
ME5
Well,
was great.
it was the flipping paradigm change in multi effects, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's all analog.
Yeah.
So, and I must admit, when you plug it in, I plugged it in, I got mine, and it's still got the stickers and everything on it, It sounds shit. But when you start dialing in some tones from the overdrive and a little bit of EQ, it's like, you can absolutely still use it today.
Yeah.
Plug straight in the front of an amp.
Yeah.
Or 4 cable. It's got MIDI, it's got all the stuff you need.
So I had the GP8 when that
Yes.
first came out.
Yeah.
Which is like the extended rack mount version of that.
Yeah,
And that led me down that road.
yeah.
And yeah.
I
I
saw
had to
mine-
go down that road to come back.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
exactly,
the
to
road
come
it
back.
led you down was, I don't like this. I need to buy an electric mistress
I
and a
don't-
CET.
Exactly.
I don't recall any of those old multi-effects pedals as having good overdrive until much more recently.
Until 2051.
Maybe. Well,
No,
that's
the
probably not fair.
ME5
No.
honestly is the SD1,
they're analog.
isn't it?
They're analog drives, aren't
So
they?
it is good. If you don't gain it up too much, that's a problem with everybody. I think a lot of people do too much gain on an overdrive
But that's
sound.
too much. But that's universal with everything.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
you want an overdrive slightly crunchy sound, but people just dial it up too high. I think.
Patrick Carroll.
Anyway.
Sorry, did you answer that? Did everyone answer that question?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
The
so
Dane.
Tom's just come in and says his would probably be the original deluxe Memory Man. So that would be
Oh,
a
yeah,
close second
yeah.
for me, Tom.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good pedal.
Even though he says he currently doesn't own one. And of course,
Well,
the original ODL1.
hint.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's not getting
Why-
mine.
why-
Mine's
You still got your.
yeah. Well,
Why
I got
do
mine
you-
signed from
Neil Finn.
Neil Finn because
Oh.
I lent Neil Finn on tour, and he signed it for me. Actually, the whole family signed it, did drawing and stuff. So yeah.
I've got to ask you, there's so much love for old pedals.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of brands like Boss and Electro Harmonics
Yep.
and, pedals that were there at the beginning.
Yes.
Or,
Yep.
And because I guess they're trying to make the pedals more cost effective, they've changed the componentry inside them and simplified it. But it just feels to me like there's such an appetite now for just like, can I just have one of those electric mistresses?
Wouldn't pass CE,
Componently
would it?
exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I don't care, I'll pay 500 quid for it if that's what it costs to make a new one.
Yeah.
Why don't they do that?
Because
Because if
the
it break down, it wouldn't be loud
Is that
enough.
the
Yeah,
problem?
yeah,
It wouldn't
Right.
pass CE.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
those pedals. So it's really interesting when you look at, the Mistress. Part of the reason I designed the post-gain circuit in the original gig rig was because, it's a sound that rocked me to my core when I first heard it. But whenever I stepped on it in the
Yeah.
band, the volume drops enough just to take you out of the mix.
Yeah.
Right.
all of these pedals, they all have these things that designers have come in and designed out, these perceived flaws. A really interesting one is, like, let's say the Big Muff and the noise floor in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had people come and say, yeah, I'll make a Big Muff clone and I'm going to get rid of all the noise. And something happens when they start tweaking that.
Yeah.
Now, so say something like the Electric Mistress.
Mm-hmm.
The chips that are using that are not made anymore. You can't make them anymore because they have things like arsenic and cadmium and all this stuff that...
Cadmium?
Cadmium.
Cadmium. Oh, sorry, I thought I heard ketamine. And I was like, whoa.
So it's illegal to make
No
those.
wonder it's like, right.
Now, can you get the same results from using a different chip? You can get really close, but what happens is you have 100 things that come really close in the pedal, and you plug it in there and you go, yeah, it's nearly there, you know.
Yeah, if each thing loses a fraction of a percent, by the time you've got 100 of those things, you've lost 5%, and then it's like, well...
Yeah, and it might be you've lost 2%. But the thing that I find really interesting is when engineers design out perceived flaws in a pedal.
Yeah.
You know, and it's amazing. Like, so my old CE1, still the best chorus ever made. So we went to TC in Denmark, and when Tor was there, and we were going to do a tone print of my CE1, and we did the kill dry so that all you could hear was the modulation, and man, that thing is so random. There's nothing smooth about it. It's really choppy and all over the place. So when you think I'm going to design a really lovely chorus, and you want the nicest sine wave possible. Actually, when you hear those old things, they're really gnarly. Yeah. You know. So to
like Dimension C is great, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Of. When he was talking about it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the opening chord to Purple Rain, even though it wasn't the Dimension C.
No.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. 1 and 4.
Patrick Carroll, hello Patrick. He says, boys, do you think Universal Audio will ever release Luna on Windows? Yes.
They probably will.
I think they will.
Yeah.
I think they will.
Wow. Thank you for that insightful answer.
If you don't want to wait, just buy a Mac.
Yeah. I don't see how they've got any option.
No, they'll probably do that at some point.
Yeah. What they would need is an interface that's platform agnostic, of course.
No, they do the Thunderbolt for PCs, don't they? USB 3 for...
launched a Universal Audio interface that was platform agnostic. Haven't they just done that?
Yeah, there's the little the new one. What's it called?
Yeah. So you are taking. I mean, reading
what's it
between
called?
the lines. It's called.
Yeah, I've seen it. They're good stuff. We only use that stuff here. I mean, X8P.
So I think, Patrick, yes, they will. I don't know that they will, and I don't know if it will be in the next 5 years, but I think they will.
Yeah. Rewrite the code, baby.
So great questions coming in here.
Come on then. Do you want to read some of them out?
No, it's one guy there's just got what his band name would be. It's not entirely inappropriate.
I see.
But I kind of felt, maybe that would be a good one. What's the worst band name you've ever been in?
My first band.
So not the worst band. No, just the worst band name.
My first band was called Tender Fury.
Tender Fury.
Tender Fury.
I'm so angry.
That's not a bad name, I think that did. Tender Fury. Wow.
Oh God.
Volt? That's the one. Volt.
What are you thinking of, Mick?
I was just thinking of Tender Fury.
Oh, Tender Fury. It's just a brilliant name.
Saturday nights as a teenager.
That is the best name ever.
Can we do Tender Fury tonight, Dan? Oh, I'm a bit tired.
Tender Fury. I've got my Tender Fury pants on.
Isn't he like a Mexican wrestler or something?
Any advances on Tender Fury?
No, that's not.
I think I've got a picture of that.
Can't top that.
Oh God.
Really?
Above and Beyond is what my band was called.
What was that?
Above and Beyond.
Above and Beyond. See, that's a wedding band name, isn't it? It's not a bad wedding band name, actually.
I think
I'd book them.
Let's take some very famous, brilliant bands down the years that have got really silly names.
Savage Garden.
Pearl Jam.
What weren't they called? Something like Mothers of Invention or something before being
Mother Love Bone.
Mother Love.
It was It was some of them and some others. The Red Hot Chili Peppers.
most band names, I think. If
Take
you
that.
just
Exactly.
if you were in a band and you had no hits, no nothing, and you said, "Should we call ourselves Pink Floyd?"
Yeah.
You'd be just like, "What? Stupid name that is."
Yeah.
Is that a guy called
But it's
Floyd that's
epic,
pink, or
isn't it?
what?
It's epic.
So there we are. There's no such thing as stupid band names.
No, there's not.
Only bands that don't get off the ground.
Yeah.
And live up to their...
That's right.
Oh,
is a good one.
what was his
Loved
name?
it,
Matt.
Yeah.
I used to have a poster. Matt Johnson. What a brilliant band that was.
What's the album with the red on the front?
Infect Me, Soul Mining, Infected.
Oh.
Infected was the big one that they had.
Natalie Summers had a
If
band
we could
called...
get Matt Johnson to come on, that would be a childhood.
Yeah, that is
tip.
great, man.
They were
What a
great.
Natalie
band.
Summers had a band called Chlamydia.
Wow.
Buzz Crumhunger had a band called Virtual Reality.
Yeah.
Preparation H.
I tell you.
Julio
Come
Laforte
on.
had a band called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think I saw them live somewhere. In a
Hootie and the Blowfish.
They could be goats, says
yeah, what's
Beaton.
Hootie? I mean, who came up with that? Hootie and the Blowfish. Isn't the blowfish the fish that you eat and you die if you get the poison bit of it in you?
That's
Yeah.
fugu. I've had that.
Fugu.
I've had that.
Poison fish, tasty fish.
Yeah, exactly. I tried it. I didn't
Boingo
die.
Boingo, says Poo Ninja.
Wow. Poo Ninja. That's his actual name, is it?
Yeah.
I think that your YouTube name is
Jiggle
worse
the
than your
handle.
band
Gastric Elevator, says Mark Satterwhite.
Jiggle the handle.
Simon Nagy says, evening all. Evening, Simon.
Victor Vomit and the Lumps.
Oh, lovely.
Half Man, Half Biscuit, of course. Guitar
yes.
breaks. Thanks, Ian.
What was their
Ian's on.
weatherman? John Ketley
Neon
is a
Pink.
weatherman. Was that Half Man, Half Biscuit?
And so
See,
was
when we
Michael
were
Fish.
saying over lunch, and
Butthole
I liked,
Surfers.
I liked the Smiths and that whole British indie scene. Half Man, Half Biscuit was one of my teenage band I was
It's a
into.
proper English name, isn't it? Half biscuit, half tea.
I actually think we need to move on because
Yes.
Bev...
What time do we finish, by the
BV
way?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
BV is having to block a lot of awful band names.
Oh, I do apologise, BV.
Don't plug it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dirk
No, yeah,
Diggler
it's-
and the Hard Richard All
Dirk
Stars.
Diggler. That was a good
Yeah.
film, wasn't
Dirk
it?
Diggler.
What was that? Was it called Boogie Nights?
No, it was 54, Studio 54, wasn't it?
Back-
Oh,
it was
Boogie
Boogie
Nights.
Nights.
Back to
Anyway.
the what
Dirk Diggler.
should manufacturers be building that they're not. Quite a lot of love here at Lee for Eric Farrell is the ringleader. He wants Lee to convince Marshall to do another hand-wired British-built 1-watt plexi heads.
Oh, come on.
The anniversary
Well,
one.
those anniversary ones that we did for our 50th anniversary weren't hand-wired. They were
Yeah.
basically a tweaked version of the... So Marshall had their own 50th anniversary the year before Andertons, or 2 years before
Oh,
Andertons
okay.
ones. And we basically just... I said, I want to do a version of the original, like, JTM, where it had the white logo and the red block writing on it. And we basically modified one of their own 1-watt ones, so it wasn't hand-wired. I mean, funnily enough, it's our 60th anniversary in 2014, so
Right.
I'm already thinking
2014,
about going...
2014.
Sorry, 2024.
Where are you?
Yeah,
Where are
I don't
you
know.
at? What's-
Time warp. Yes, this is what happens when you get to my age. The last 30 years all blurs into one.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
So anyone got any good ideas? So we 1964, the year Andertons started, when my granddad and dad opened the first store. And so 60th anniversary, products. So yeah, we had this super successful in 2014. We did the 50th anniversary Marshall JTM 1-watt thing. Mm-hmm. Brilliant amp. Go for crazy money on eBay now. Absolutely bonkers money. But what else was 1964? What was that synonymous for? That hasn't really been done, because I've looked at Fender, and the Fender catalogue's just full of 1964 Strats anyway, so it's not terribly... Yeah, that's true. So what happened
Lapton,
in
wasn't it?
64 that was like...
They hadn't quite brought the Maestro FZ1 first tone out.
And funnily enough, for the 2014, I bought an original one thinking, could we get away with this and clone it? And I loved the fact that the guitar lead was fixed in the pedal. I mean, it's like, oh man, got to bring that back. It sounded so bad that I just went, no, I don't think so. And it wasn't 1964 either. I think it was 65.
65.
Breezy Telly says the above average weight band.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Totally awesome.
I'm gonna steal that one.
Totally awesome. David Hamilton says the best pub band name is Free Roast Beef. You get loads of people in, right?
absolutely. Free beer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was always the
Then he's feeding the Dutch ovens.
Yeah.
What's a Dutch oven? Oh, hang on. That's... Oh, wait.
Oh no! Quickly say another one, Pete.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's just an oven where you come from, though, right?
yeah, exactly.
Whitney
Where are you from,
Houston,
Dave?
we have
Holland.
a problem.
We've only got a couple of minutes left.
Is that a band name?
That's a great
Whitney
band name.
Houston, we have a problem. Oh, man.
It's a good cover band, isn't it?
It's just genius.
Quite a few people.
Next, Vox 8030 64.
Yeah.
Sharp.
There you go. Quite a few people, including Savage Henry, wants to know a JTM 145 and laugh on all the eBay scammers.
That was what we called it, a JTM 145, because it was like a 1 watt version of a JTM 45.
Oh,
so
okay.
what's he saying about it?
He doesn't mean the 100 watt.
No, it's the
First
same
100
one.
watt Marshall. No.
No, that was the model number of the 1 watt thing
okay.
that we reissued was called a JTM 145.
So are eBay scammers doing your amps then?
So the amp was basically I wanted to do this 50th anniversary thing, and I again, you know, sometimes just like things all fall into place. I was talking to Marshall about doing it, and at the time Marshall didn't really have any staff that were still, you know, had been there long enough to have any idea. And then I contacted a guy who had a website called Ampaholics, who was this Marshall restorer. Anyway,
Is it a Swedish guy?
no, so he's in Guildford, believe it or not. And then it's like, I know you from somewhere, don't I? And he's like, yeah, we used to play football together when we were like 19 or whatever. I was like, okay, weird. So he's like, well, you need this vinyl. And Marshall are like, you can't get that vinyl anymore. And he's like, I've got a roll of it. So it's like, here it comes.
No way.
And you need these handles. And in fairness to Marshall, they did literally go, actually, yeah, I probably still can get those handles. Anyway, the whole thing just came together. And although inside the amplifier, it's a play on what an amp might have been had it been like a 1 watt. Right. You know, there never was a 1 watt, you know, JTM or anything like that. But visually, it was cool. Absolutely nailed on. And the one thing, this guy Paul Goodentate, his name was, lovely guy, and if you're into old Marshall amplifiers, he's a real, you know, expert on that. He said it's you cannot do this without using this Celestion speaker that was crikey, I'm not very good on the, but it would have been whatever the speaker was appropriate for in those days. Would it have been an old Greenback Alnico or something like
that? It was a really unusual Alnico.
Yeah, really unusual. Went to Celestion, said, would you do it? Celestion said, we can only do this as a special run. The speakers were so expensive.
I said, I think I can see you coming.
Well, no, we priced up the speaker using the 112 speaker cabinet using the sort of normal margins that we would do, and it ended up being more expensive than the amp for a 1x12. So in the end, I think we just said, look, let's just break even on the speaker cabinet because you can't. It's just ridiculous. But it honestly, this 1 watt head into this speaker had all the right vinyl, everything. It sounded great. And Joe Bonamassa, you know, Marshall again did the. We were going, how can we launch this? And Marshall were like, do you want Joe Bonamassa to do the demo with you? I'm like, yeah. And then I do feel bad about that because I don't think Marshall told Joe Bonamassa.
No, it was weird.
Because you filmed it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
So they sort of dumped it on Joe, and he was super gracious and did an amazing job. But I still to this day don't think he, you know, I think he felt a bit put out that, you know. Anyway. And anyway, so genuinely, if there were 250 of those made, I literally, at the time, that was the minimum order Marshall would take to do the amp. And I'm not kidding you, on the day I signed that, I think at the time I still had to take the purchase order to my dad and go, do you mind if we buy £250,000 worth of Marshall amplifiers on a whim? Anyway, we launched that. Joe Bonamassa did the video. We'd scheduled a year's build to, you know, so that like they'd come through 20 a month or whatever it would be for a year. We'd done all 250 by the end of January. We were saying to Marshall, just build them. They were, the head and the cab together was about 11 or 1200 quid as a set. And I'm pretty sure I've seen them go on eBay for in excess of $5,000 a pop now, which is nuts because it's, you know, it's not a hand wired, you know, vintage thing, but it did look.
You could buy a Dumble speaker cable for that.
Yeah, it did look. I've got, by the way, if anyone wants to offer ridiculous amounts of money, in my little glass cabinet outside my office, I've got the one that Joe Bonamassa played in the video with the cab. Yeah.
Amazing.
$15,000.
Anyway, apologies to waffle on there.
No, it's amazing. Let's put a line under it there.
Yes.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, John.
Yeah, your contribution was Unbelievable.
Stylistic, I
Yes.
thought.
This has been so much
Totemistic.
fun. Thank you guys so much for doing this and letting us come out and hang out. It's just
Anytime,
wonderful.
man.
Apologies for there being no useful content whatsoever. That's the way of these things.
No useful content.
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that what YouTube's
That's
for?
what we do.
I know.
A massive thank you to everyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grabbed some merch. We've got some new Christmas, the new Christmas tea.
Yeah.
Oh, right, let's see that.
Little dear.
Oh, dear.
Oh, look at it's Rudolph with his green nose and everything like that. It's not Rudolph with a green nose.
He's got a
Who is
moldy
it?
nose. What
What
does he
is
stuck
it?
his nose into then?
It is Rudolph with a green nose.
Yeah, but there's obviously an in-joke there, isn't it?
No, the black,
Okay.
The black one's
the
got
black
the-
tea's
the
got,
black tea's got the red nose.
Just, I'm no colour scientist, but red. We knew that red wouldn't show up on a red shirt, so we had to make another.
I like the green Rudolph. It's like
Yeah.
a
I
different
like it too.
dimension.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
He's
maybe
trying
that's,
a few things
maybe that's
out. He's
Prancer.
expressing
Yeah,
himself.
yeah,
Inclusive.
exactly.
There's nothing wrong with
That's-
deers with green noses, all right?
No.
It's the brown nose ones you got to worry about.
Too much chocolate.
Yes, also, 2,000 people watching this at the moment. Please subscribe to the channel if you
mad.
haven't done that already. We'd really appreciate it. We're coming up to 300,000. We're
Subscribers.
nearly there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can we plug ours as well? I'm giving. Where's our wooden sign? that we haven't put up
I
yet?
don't know where it is now.
We've got a target to hit 1 million subscribers, and then I'm going to give this away when we do. So to a random pulled out of a hat one of the 1 million subscribers.
Which would be my
Where
my
did you
account.
get that
but-
from?
I bought this. I don't know which one I bought. So, sorry to run over here. I made on the day I decided to buy a Klon, and I'd been thinking about it for about 2 years and just watching the price go up and up and up. And eventually, so I'm just going to do this. On the day I decided to buy it, 2 people offered to sell me theirs. So one of these is from a guy called Neil Squire, who's been a long-standing customer of Andertons.
Right.
And I've played this 25 odd years ago, so I know it's. And the other one was just a one-off of from one of the guys down at Manson Guitars that just happened to have one for sale.
Oh, wicked.
And it was literally like, what do I do? What do I do? I know. I'll just buy them both. And then we thought, right, well, 100% one of these we can give away and one we'll keep. So I might even let you choose which one you have when we get to the 1 million subscribers.
Okay, you heard it. Subscribe to Andertons on YouTube.
Yes, sorry for that blatant plug.
And win a Clon Centaur.
Clon Centaur.
Centaur.
Clon Centaur.
Subscribe to that Pedal Show on YouTube and
Absolutely.
win.
Respect.
Win nothing at all.
Or watch videos about how we think the Wampler Mini Tumnus sounds better. And you can all buy one of those.
From Andertons.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, Dan, play us out.
Okay.
I love hanging with you two. It's awesome. We
Yeah,
should
it's
do
a good
these
time.
collabs more.
Thank you.
Collapse.
Yes, these collabs.
Oh my god, it ended on that.
Sing a song.
Did we?
Sing a song. Sing a song,
we
boys.
do.
Do a Westlife one. Key change.
My old
They
man's
lift
best
me
man,
up.
he wears Dustman's hat. He wears gold blimey trousers.
Lives in a council flat.